Coach, it's good to have you on. Thanks for joining us and calling back quickly for us. Thank you.
Of course. Good morning. Turnover to start the day, not good.
No, a little quick turnover. That's all right,
That's
Coach.
right. We're gonna dish out more assists than we have turnovers, Coach.
There you go.
We'll have a good ratio. How are things going in the off season for the SDSU women coming off an NCAA tournament appearance? I know you're looking forward to another big year coming up as you rebuild this program again, right back up to the level you had it a few years ago.
Well, excited, and you're right. You know, every year is different and brings different things to look forward to, different challenges. And I think last year's version was more, you knew you were incorporating 7 new people. We were excited, but, you know, potential is one of those scary words. And I think for us, the impact you'll see in this year's team is we've really beefed up our schedule, and we have high expectations, no bigger than inside the walls of our own office and locker room, with a lot of returning players, a lot of freshmen that got a lot of minutes a year ago, substantial, so we're ready to go.
Coach, between your 2 stints with San Diego State, you've been at Montezuma Mesa probably as long as any of the coaches there in that building, but do you ever remember a time in which San Diego State athletics across the board, well, I know you don't, because there really hasn't been a time where there's been such unprecedented success for everyone, and I wondered if there was a reason you thought that everything seems to be coming together now where it didn't maybe come together in the past?
Well, I think, I'll try to answer this in less than a day and a half. You guys are only on for 3 hours, right? So I'll try to make
Take your time.
A few bullet points. I think, without question, we have some terrific coaches in the building. And with that said, one of the big reasons I came back is the university is what I believed in. You know, we've had the same university administration. I think our just recently retired Steve Weber did a fabulous job to continue to build and grow our university, and now Dr. Hirschman right behind him made huge differences. But I really point to the leadership of Jim Sturck, our new athletics director, John David Wicker, his associate, in that they, you know, you can only be as good as the support that you're given, and I think they've come in with great vision and given us a great framework with which to be successful. Now, you still have to have good coaches, and you still have to be able to recruit good players, but I really think leadership makes that much of a difference, and I think that consistently we've had very good leadership on the athletics department, which has made a real difference. I mean, you said it, the culture of the building has changed, and I think it's because every athlete in every sport expects to succeed in the classroom and expects to win, and if you don't do those 2 things, then we don't want you here. And I think that is really a steady theme. We will support you and help you grow, but we want to win, and we want to win the right way. And I really do credit Jim. I think he's done a terrific job to kind of unify and rally all of us.
Beth Burns, head coach at San Diego State, the defending Mountain West Conference champions. They cut down the nets in Vegas last March and then advanced to the NCAA tournament, played LSU. Coach, Chelsea Hopkins coming back for another year, and then Player of the Year, Courtney Clemens coming back for another year. So that gives you a pretty good starting point for the upcoming season. And, like you said, you had so many freshmen play a lot of minutes last year.
Right.
That I don't know if there's a lot of room. Is there any room for any other newcomers this year? Did you squeeze out a little extra room for some more competition?
Well, I was going to say there's nothing better than competition, and I think that's one of the things you mentioned. Chelsea Hopkins to start is, you know, if Chelsea was down to HORS against her mother, she'd probably say sorry, Mom, but she'd have to get that E. You know, I mean, she is one of the most competitive human beings, and when your point guard is that kind of personality and that kind of person, that really helps elevate the entire team. Another thing, just a quick side note about Chelsea. Chelsea just graduated in public administration about a month ago and has already started her MBA. So she's actually in her MBA program at San Diego State College of Business, and by this time a year from now, we'll be getting ready to button up and walk away with not only an undergraduate but also a graduate degree and hopefully an opportunity to be drafted in the WNBA. So lots of great things because Chelsea works hard for it that are going to come her way. Yeah, I would say probably, Chris, our most impactful newcomer isn't a newcomer, and that would be Diogene Scurry, who was part of that a freshman class a year ago, the 5 of them that we brought in, but we redshirted her. So she will be a redshirt freshman, if you will, this year, and the advantage of practice is huge. So the fact that she's a tangible impact person, I think you're going to see her fight for some time early. And we've been able to sign 2 players late, kind of the same route. We have 2 very talented kids, one from Boston College and one from Louisville. So next year, when we lose some really impactful players, we'd like to think we're pretty well set for the next 2-3 years. Of course, I say that today we start recruiting phone calls again, so it never ends.
Coach, you mentioned academics a little bit earlier. Yesterday, San Diego State's APR scores came out for sports, and the good news is that every team seems to be doing pretty well in their 4-year scores, and there's not going to be any trouble for San Diego State. But other basketball programs are having some trouble and are going to be eliminated from NCAA competition. What do you think about the APR system? Is it a fair way to judge how your athletes are performing, and is keeping a team out of the NCAA tournament a fair punishment if they don't keep those scores up?
Well, it's a pretty strong topic for a soundbite, Ben, but I think realistically, basketball is such a small squad that one person, 2 or 3 guys go to the NBA, and it can really dramatically affect your score, whereas in a sport where maybe, football has 80, 90, 100 guys, 1 or 2 people doesn't have the same kind of impact that we do. I would say that, like all things, the intent is good. I do sometimes have a little synonym that APR equals ATM, because I think the more money that you have and the more support that you have, the more you can control some of the issues that you're seeing, which is why, the aforementioned UConn is, I think, raises your eyebrows because you couldn't understand it. But I think from the outside looking in, as convoluted as the system seems to be to a layperson, it's more the size of our sport. When you've had 2 or 3 guys that go to the pros, I think it still needs to be tweaked. I personally think it still needs to be tweaked. On the women's side, our pro draft is in April. They start training camp in May. So we're fortunate that we've had our athletes, we go to summer school, so Paris Johnson graduated on time, Jay Morris on time. So these guys were able to graduate and then go on to the pro camps or wherever they went without missing out on their last semester. But it's tricky. You have to have a lot of people to support you.
Beth Burns, a great coach at San Diego State, our guest here on Extra Sports 1360. Coach, this is the 40-year anniversary of Title IX, and there have been a lot of articles about it. We had Ann Myers-Drysdale on our program a few weeks ago to discuss it, and she spoke very highly of you. I'm just curious, as we're 40 years into this thing, if you can believe all the advancements that have really been made in women's athletics over the last 4 decades.
You know what, Chris? I fortunately think I was playing hooky somewhere, because I got lucky enough to hear that when you had Annie on, and that was terrific. And boy, what a job she has done with the Phoenix Mercury, taking them to a world championship. And I have known her and known her story, and I appreciate that in the Title IX era. This is what I've been saying to all our Aztec Club people, and I'm going to ask you guys to help me with this, is that when I was little, all I wanted to be was either Walt Frazier or Greg Nettles, and I wanted to play in either Madison Square Garden or Yankee Stadium. And I think at some point as a 10-year-old, you knew maybe you couldn't do that, but you weren't quite sure why. Well, now these guys have women that they can idolize. And it's the 13th year of the WNBA, so everybody on my team has grown up with, hey, I want to get on the Sparks, or I want to get on the Phoenix Mercury. And it enables them to have those kind of role models. Now, we still have a ways to go, but the support given, and I'd like to credit, and I think on your show we've talked about Pat Summitt. Pat Summitt changed the landscape for women, and I don't just think in athletics. I think overall, Pat Summitt she made it real clear that coaching was not pink or blue. Coaching was just coaching. And I think that she really broke ground and did a lot of things to enable all of us to be in the position that we're in now, to be on television and to be able to have all our athletes have full scholarships and getting advanced degrees and playing professionally. I mean, right now you think of, I talked about Paris Johnson earlier. Paris spent last year in Poland. Janae Morris spent last year in Spain. Hugh Davis spent last year in Greece. All these guys are playing professionally and being able to follow their dreams. That was unheard of 40 years ago. So as my Title IX celebration, what I'd like everyone to do And I don't care whether it's at San Diego State or UCSD or USD or Point Loma. Go buy 2 season tickets to a women's something. Go buy 2 season tickets, and if you don't have a daughter or a granddaughter, give it to your neighbor, give it to the Girl Scouts, give it to somebody. But let's ensure that these little girls know that there are big girls that they can look up to.
Last thing for me, Coach, you've spent a lot of time traveling with my co-host over the years. Is he going to have trouble getting up in the mornings for a 6 a.m. show, or do you think he's going to be able to make it each day?
Well, Ben, since it's just you and I talking here, we can speak, and I can tell you that Chris and I scientifically go over our travel schedule so he can make you have to work that much more, and we build it in. Chris, I don't know. We're going 6 a.m. You're in trouble, brother.
I know.
You better make sure. But hey, we are excited about what we're doing, and for Chris to know, the fellas are opening up on the Midway against Syracuse on November 9th. How cool is that? Well, our Aztec women are going to open their season on November 10th. We're going to open Pauley Pavilion on television on that Saturday evening. So men are going to open up on Friday against Syracuse. Women are going to open up at UCLA to have an opportunity to open the building on the women's side as that's been renovated. And that's the kind of schedule that we both have, because we want to have great basketball in San Diego at San Diego State. And
Ben likes to get rid of me in the month of November for a few days. Where are we going this year, Coach? Do we have a good tournament scheduled somewhere across the seas?
We're going to be traveling some, Chris. So Ben's going to have to put some work in. We have a great schedule actually. The aforementioned UCLA, USC is coming down here to play in Viejas. We're going to go to Colorado and play Auburn. Our tournament after Christmas, we're going to have Oklahoma State, SMU, Harvard. We have some really, really, as I said, we want to ensure not only that we're in, but we want to get in with a great seed. So we're going to have a very competitive non-conference schedule, and we sure appreciate that people call that Aztec season ticket office, and season tickets are $60. $60. I think Chris and Ben should have some kind of opportunity to give away some season tickets to get people into Viejas Arena. What do you think?
I love it. Usually season tickets are $60 like per seat per quarter.
Right.
You get the entire season for $60.
$60. So 283 SDSU. Buy 2 season tickets and just give them to somebody, or come on over and check us out. We think we're going to have a very good team this year. It's going to be fun to watch.